Well, Mason, I watched, at the behest of you,
I didn't ask.
The movie Michael.
I didn't ask for your opinion. I didn't ask you to watch Michael.
Here's
But go
my
ahead.
opinion,
Go on.
and thank you for asking me to watch this. So it's this paper-thin narrative that skips over huge chunks of his life, punctuated with his music.
Right.
And his music is often incredible, especially the earlier stuff. It goes through his childhood Jackson 5 up until the bad era.
What's the Joe Jackson stuff like?
Oh, it's just his dad going, I'm going to hit you a lot and you don't respect your
I'm going to
family.
hit you so good.
I'm going to hit... And look, he was a piece of shit. Like,
I'm going to hit you bad.
say that again.
Miles Teller's in this, right? Michael Teller.
Michael Teller's in this. Yeah, Miles Teller is in it with a terrible wig/haircut, who plays his manager, lawyer, or whatever. So yeah, his dad was a massive piece of shit, and also, you know.
But does that come across in the movie?
Oh, absolutely. It's all he does. He's
Okay,
just
right.
like, I hate you, Michael Jackson. You're not doing good enough stuff for your family, Michael Jackson. Whether Jackson, and sometimes he's sitting with Don King, and he's like, Don King, you're evil, and I'm evil. Let's do evil together.
Wow.
And it's just him like meeting various people throughout the movie and being like, hi,
Janet Jackson?
I'm Quincy.
Does he meet Janet Jackson?
No, she's not in the movie.
That's
Janet
interesting.
Jackson, LaToya Jackson is in it. All these brothers are. She apparently opted out of this movie, which is so fucking bizarre. And of course, she doesn't have to be in this. I understand why she wouldn't want to be that.
Is
be in
LaToya
this.
Jackson being played by LaToya Jackson?
No,
Okay.
there's an actor who plays LaToya Jackson. So it's just him being like, hi, I'm Quincy Jones or wherever. And he goes, hi, I'm Michael Jackson. And then he'll just meet and he'll, I'm a significant person in your life. Well, this is a great moment in the life of Michael Jackson. And then that happens like several times.
But at least they included his catchphrase. This is incredible. What did you say?
Incredible time of Michael Jackson
Yeah,
or
this
whatever. Yeah.
It's an incredible moment in the life of Michael Jackson.
There's story beats that they'll be like, he gets ever increasingly weird animals as he becomes more rich and more successful. Like he
Weird
starts
animals.
with yeah, thank you. He gets like a rat, and then like a llama and a giraffe, and Bubbles or whatever. It's like,
Did they include the Batman suit, the mannequin of the Batman
they don't.
suit?
They didn't
It's
get
got
to
his
that.
own face
No, because
underneath
that
it?
was in the 90s.
Yeah,
and
that would have been.
Strangely enough, this movie doesn't delve into the 90s fucking at all.
Wow.
And there's just like most of the songs, the build up is in the studio and he'll be on the microphone. He's like, I'm the greatest son. Michael Jackson.
The Michael phone.
It is like, I'm the greatest son, Michael Jackson. You believe in yourself. And then he'll start singing one of his famous Michael Jackson songs.
Is there a moment where he apparently riffs a song that it's obviously been written and produced well in advance? It's
He
not one of
does.
those
Yeah,
songs.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But there is like, you'll see him like figure itself out in his room, and he'll be like, this is how the beat's going to go or whatever. And then like, there'll be no backing track, and he'll start one of his songs, and the producers are like, this is good, Michael Jackson. And then the music will come in, and then it will cut to a montage of him like, people being like, you're the best Michael Jackson. And he's like, they're not my fans, they're my family or whatever. And blah, blah,
using
blah.
his natural voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you're my fans, you're
You're
my family.
man. Yeah. And yeah, if you want to see like a segment of Thriller that looks exactly like Thriller, yeah, it's phenomenally
I don't wanna see-
recreated.
I don't wanna
Well,
see
you
that.
can. You can in this movie.
That's great that I can, but once again, to reiterate, I don't want to do that.
And there's moments where he's like, because he's the youngest in his family, like by quite a bit of his brothers, and he'll come.
Not anymore.
No, and he'll come. No, and he'll come
got
home,
children.
and he'll be like, "Oh, Michael Jackson, let's play Twister," and they're like, "We're old men," and he's like, "I don't have any friends. Nobody understands me. I'm Michael Jackson. You know what I love? I love Peter Pan, and then I want to read this book about Peter Pan, and I love Neverland." And then they'll just show like. Happens like 5 times. They'll cut to a hospital and he's sitting with a sick kid, and I'm like, this is fucked up. And it's just like, oh man, he loves children and he's fans, and it's like, what
It
are you
sounds
trying to
sounds like a real benevolent, sort of angelic figure.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? And of course, you know this, but they had to reshoot the ending because apparently the Michael Jackson estate didn't tell the studio that they can't use any of the allegation stuff, because originally this ended with the first situation where he was accused of anything in the 90s. And there were multiple
what a
accusations.
situation.
What a situation that Michael Jackson has found
What a
himself in.
situation I found myself in. This is a classic Michael Jackson moment.
But they apparently weren't allowed to do that for obvious reasons because it was part of the original settlement. So they had to reshoot an ending, which I will talk about in a moment. But also, like, there's moments where, like, he's watching the TV and it's on mute and he's like, oh, what's going on on the streets of LA or whatever, and he'll unmute and it's like, there's gang violence everywhere, everybody's
I wish
doing
there wasn't
violence.
gang violence. I better write a song against gang violence.
Exactly, and then he gathered some gangs together and he went to the warehouse, and maybe this fucking happened, I don't know. And they're like, we love you, Michael Jackson. He's like, why don't you be in my music video? Help solve gang violence. I'm Michael Jackson. And I didn't know Michael Jackson solved gang violence, so that was really interesting
did.
the way
Yeah,
that he
you
did that.
Seen any gang violence recently? Doubt it.
Yeah, that's true. Because Michael Jackson handled. They also have the bit where Pepsi lit him on fire in the commercial, and you fully see it. And there's footage of that available.
I have seen that footage.
There you go. But they show it, and he's in the hospital, and they're like, Michael Jackson might never be Michael Jackson again. And he's like,
it's ironic because he visited those sick kids in the hospital. Now he's a sick man in the hospital. He's a sick man.
Sure.
We cannot stress this enough. He is a sick man, and he's been on fire.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, Michael Jackson, you have to take pain meds. And he's like, I'll never take pain meds. That's not good for me. But he does end up taking pain meds. And you're like, wow, I wonder if this will affect him later in his life.
I wonder if these are addictive. They're very addictive, Michael Jackson.
I wonder if this will affect me later in this movie. They won't. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
It doesn't
that's
come
all
up again later at all. And it keeps cutting back to his dad. And his dad's like, you can't escape being your family, Michael Jackson. And he's like, I want to do my own thing. And then his dad keeps like roping him back into being the Jackson 5. And that happens again 5 or 6 times throughout this movie until the end.
It would have been neater if it was 5 times. 6 times, you've broken the.
It might have been. I don't know
situation.
how many specifically, but at the end, it ends with 2 stadium sequences. One where he's performing with the Jackson 5, and it's in a big stadium, and they're like, we all love Michael Jackson, and people are like screaming and crying and fainting, which is all true. Like people went crazy for this fucking lunatic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how famous he was.
So famous,
and so, because, we have your Taylor Swifts and so on and now, but for all the millions of people that love Taylor Swift, there are millions of people who are like, I don't know anything about her kind of thing. But inescapable, Michael
Tabloids
Jackson.
followed him everywhere, and there was speculation about his life and whatever. It doesn't touch on any of his relationships that he had with any women, which I don't know. This era I don't know what he was up to. Again, crook stuff, but maybe it turns out. So there's the one stadium scene where he goes, I
like how you're rushing to the end, it seems.
This is what the movie felt like. So it ends that, and he's like, I don't want to be Michael Jackson for the family anymore. And his dad's like, you have to be Michael Jackson. And then he's for the family, and he's like, I won't. And then he's free of his dad, and then it cuts to the Bad concert, which is how the movie starts.
Oh,
at
nice.
The Bad concert.
Because he had to think about his whole life before he played.
Exactly. It's the Dewey Cox thing and whatever. And so then he performs Bad. Again, another stadium sequence where everyone's screaming and crying and yelling.
Nice.
Anyway, so he does Bad, which is such a strange song. And it's on the stage or whatever. And then
because he solved gang violence, and now he's pretending to be a bad guy. Pretending. Pretending.
And then it just cuts. It's the end, and it just says his story will continue.
Nice.
And that's the end of the movie.
In a bad way.
In a bad way, which is strange because and there might be a sequel to this. I don't know whether they can because why they cover the stuff that really happened.
Yeah.
Or was speculated to happen, and fans of him are furious, or you do that in a really watered down way, and then it's just it's a nothing movie, which is what this is essentially.
I mean, if I had to guess, and this has done huge numbers, my guess would be they do the next movie, they cover that stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was never there were lots of settlements, but he was never convicted.
Well, that's what I was
right?
going to talk about. So when it's his story would continue, you're left thinking what happened after that? What happened directly after this? And it's
Black or white.
There were numerous accusations, a lot of which he paid millions of dollars to make go away.
Yeah.
Right? And that is I don't know, it feels and I don't know this for a fact, but there are a lot of allegations.
Correct.
And a lot of them he paid off. And I'm not, again, I don't think we'll ever really know, but what we do know,
But I mean, certainly
Well, there's the thing, he did, and we know for a fact, and he said this in interviews, he slept in beds, with children. He dangled a fucking baby out a window, which is
where you draw the line. You said, you told me privately, everything else you were fine with. But
isn't that the fact that you could look at this, and you see it in the comments, because the Michael Jackson fans / PR team is, it's going to be in the comments of this. It's everywhere. And there's going to be he wasn't convicted of anything and whatever, which wasn't true. And I think it's lucky for him that he is dead, because I think the perception of him would be very different if he was alive and things continued to come out.
And was on social media.
Yeah, exactly, where he had to answer for things. And I'm not even expecting the movie to address that specifically, but because because it wouldn't. It's not going to, is it?
It wouldn't, no.
Because
it will again, it'll frame it as
it was a tragic thing that
and he had
was
to
original.
There'll be a lot of him going to court, and then afterwards he'll be standing at a balcony going, "Oh, I wish I didn't have to go to court."
Yeah, exactly.
And then it'll be there'll be a lot of him staring out of windows and dangling a baby out of a window and going, "Oh, I wish I wasn't." And then he'll die, and there'll be a thing about they'll blame the doctors and et cetera, and then there'll be a moving tribute to him, but they won't,
Sure, and that, like, the doctors did kill him. Like,
and the criticism, like in all the reviews, the criticism will be all of this is sort of lies by omission.
Yes.
But the people who pay money to see it they're not interested in it. They're not going to read any of those articles, or if they are, they're going to
totally,
spam the comments.
And I think, like, outside of even the fact that, because I wasn't expecting this movie to address any of that, I just think it's not a good movie.
Uh-huh.
And I mean that from the sense of, like, if you want to go in and see, like, a minute of Thriller or watch his nephew perform Bad, and it's a pretty good rendition of Bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna get
How
that.
ironic.
Yeah, but like
James, wouldn't you agree that's ironic?
It's ironic, but like
it's a good rendition of Bad.
It's not.
James, would you agree?
No, shut up. It's not a good. It's like as a movie, it's not good. Unless you love Michael Jackson, but even then, I don't think it's still a good movie.
Because you even love Michael Jackson. You didn't even think.
I hope that's come across. Yeah, but like, what would also be after this? You just watch him whittle away at his fucking head for the rest of his life.
Correct. Yes.
And then he dies.
That honestly,
were they going to hit Alien Ant Farm cover of like Smooth Criminal or whatever?
Was he alive when that came out?
He was. That was the early 2000s. Okay. I'm sorry I told you to shut up. That was rude, actually.
No, that's quite all right.
Yeah.
No, I've deserved it. I've deserved it for 10 years. Maybe they will. Maybe he'll meet Alien Ant Farm.
Maybe he will.
Yeah.
But look, and you could argue that, I was never going to like this because I don't like Michael Jackson. And I think, again, even if he wasn't a pedophile, which is unproven, I still think he sucks. I still think he was manipulative and spoiled, but also there was terrible things that did happen to him with his father and the way the media treated him at certain times, and racism, and all of that is true.
Mean people saying mean stuff on podcasts.
Yeah, but he was still a massive piece of shit. And if, despite his talent and his contributions to art, but and again, it sucks. It's bad, and I feel bad watching it and talking about it.
Well, I'm not going to watch it. Instead, now time to rewatch Chinatown.
One of your favorite movies.
And the Twilight Zone movie.
Also, I didn't pay for it. I had cinema points, so
nice.
I guess there's that. Yeah. Ugh. I feel terrible now. That's ruined my fucking week. All right, let's move to the next
Well, I didn't watch it, and I feel fine and good.
Let's move to the next segment of the show.
Oh, it's letters.